All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me. So we'll go ahead and get started here um, with Bruce F. So Bruce F says, I have completed the speed program, but find only a nominal, if any, increase in speed. I get better than average distance, and I'm longer than most of my competitors off the tee due to a good smash factor. My first session started with 83 miles per hour baseline, and my final was maybe 86. Um, Ball flight was good and hit most fairways. Top speed was in the 91 to 93 range, but these were aberrant and probably due to sequencing issues. Question, and I apologize for the length. Should I keep working on speed program or move on? My driver is my strength. I'm a 12 index, 73 years old. Um, about 150 or less, and par and 5.5. Okay, so as far as it really depends on what your goals are. If your goals are to improve your golf game, then I would recommend continuing with the speed training. So, and if you really want to take it up a notch and make sure that you are getting the most out of it, I'd recommend doing it with the help of a top speed golf instructor. So, I mean, you can always come here and ask your questions, but to go through it with a top speed golf instructor with unlimited swing reviews, that's my recommendation. That's where I see students really do the best because then they're getting the feedback from an instructor as they're going through it. So basically, the way that would work is, you would go through the first drill. You would send me a video. I would take a look and make sure that you're kind of nailing everything, and then we would move on to the next one. So there's basically three pieces to increasing your club head speed. And you mentioned that you're a big, great smash factor guy. And I find that people that are so used to hitting it really, really solid all the time don't get out of their bubble and go to the extreme with stuff. So that might be, it's hard to say without seeing your swing, Bruce, but that might be what's going on because it's just a little bit out of your comfort zone. It feels out of control. And it is going to be a little bit out of control at first, but that's where we want to get the speed bumps from. And then as you keep on doing that, you'll get more comfortable with it, and then your control will come along with it. So that's what I'd recommend doing. Go through the 20-minute distance fix, and I try to just be more open-minded with it, and I think that will help you a lot more. So go as big a shoulder turn as you possibly can, and see if it helps you. Turn out that trail foot, lift up that trail heel off the ground. That may be something that you're not really doing in your swing right now, and you're getting that great smash factor, and you feel like if you do that, it's out of control and you're not going to hit the ball in the center of the face. Well, at first you're probably not, and we don't care about that initially. What we want to do is get that speed up there, and then as you get more comfortable with it, you'll be able to get your smash factor back. So I would try to go into it again with a more open mind. I will tell you, if you're looking to improve your golf game, then there is really nothing more you can do to help to improve your scores faster or more efficiently than gaining more distance. It's just so much easier to play golf when you hit it further. So that's the number one correlation to lowering your scores is distance. So if you're going to work on anything in your golf game, especially for you, I mean, since you mentioned that you're a center of the face guy, you don't miss the center of the face, you hit the ball really solid all the time. Well, getting more distance on top of that is going to make you leaps and bounds a better player. So my recommendation is typically always to go do some speed training as long as you're physically able. That's what I'd recommend doing. So, and one thing, we try to make this clear in the program, is that when you're doing the distance, you got to go 100% effort. And again, this is one, we get people that come to clinics. We get great players that come to clinics, scratch golfers, but they're not very long. And, they could be plus handicap golfers if they gain some speed, and they just don't want to swing hard. And that's because they feel like it's out of control. So I feel like just based on the information that you've given here, That might be the case with you. I mean, you know yourself better than I do, but that's one thing to keep in mind for sure going forward. All right. So Jim S says, how do I square my club face at impact? Clay shows a rolling of the wrist at takeaway. I thought that was bad. So basically, you know, the face is going to come back to square. You can't keep the face like that the whole time. You've got to kind of roll it over to keep it on plane. If you do that, you're just not going to be able to hinge the wrist. So you gotta hinge the wrist and then be able to roll the wrist in the backswing and in the downswing. So, you know, basically whatever you do in the backswing, you got to do in the downswing to get that club face back to square. Now, ideally, what you do as you're coming into impact is you would turn this handle down so that you can get forward shaft lean and square the club face. Turning that handle down, doing the move is what squares the club face at impact when you get forward shaft lean. So at address, typically, you know, if you're not set up with a ton of forward shaft lean, you might be kind of set up like this. Well, you don't want to come into impact like that because that's going to be kind of a flipping motion and so on and so forth. You want to get forward shaft lean. So if I were to just push my face forward here or push my hands forward and not change my wrist angles, look what happens with my club face. It's wide open. So I've got to turn that handle down to square up the club face. And now I can come into contact with a square club face and forward shaft lean, get lots of compression on the ball. So that's going to be the move. That's going to help you to get that club face square at impact with forward shaft lean. That's what I'd recommend. So to get to the move course, if you go to the top of the page, click the house icon. There's a little house up there. You click that. That'll take you to the home page. If you go to the home page, you scroll down on the home page, you'll see all the courses on the website, and then you can click on the move course and start working through that. It's 1.2 from the move is a really great one to help you get that club face squaring up. Bruce F says, thanks, no problem. Glad I could help. DMB says, I'm not taking a divot. Am I coming up at impact? Probably. It's hard to say without seeing your swing. But typically when you don't take a divot, it's from an early release. So when I come through contact, I release the club early. And when you do that, you basically have to pick the ball off the turf. So when you release the club early, that club's coming in very, very level with the turf. And sometimes you're actually even hitting up. The ball's coming up into the golf ball. It's coming down and then it moves up. Sometimes that's happening as well. But typically when you get an early release, you're coming in very, very level with the turf. The only time you can really take a divot is if you hit behind the golf ball. So in order for you to hit a good golf shot, you basically have to take no divot and just kind of pick the ball off the turf. So now there could be all kinds of reasons why you have an early release. It could be that you're coming up and going like that. It could be that you're coming down steep. So you come down steep and you got to stand up to get that club to come back down plane. And then you flip. It could be the way that you square the face. You're used to squaring up the face by going like this because that feels really strong instead of turning that handle down and getting forward shaft lean at impact. There's all kinds of reasons why you could be doing it. You just have to look at your swing and see what's going on there. So work through the top speed golf system. Make sure that your spine is stable. If you're going like this at the top and then falling away from in the downswing, you're typically going to release the club early. So make sure you're nice and stable with your spine. If you are getting a short turn, you're just going like this and then really trying to get all that speed at the golf ball, that could be causing you to cast. So make sure that you're getting a good shoulder turn. If you're casting the club, you're getting that big turn, but from the very start, you go like that. You cast the club, you're not generating lag in the downswing, then that's going to cause an early release. You're going to want to work on the top speed lag course. If you are your compression line, if you're bumped out, so our compression line, we want to have our lead ankle, hip, and shoulder all in a straight line, slightly angled away from the target at impact. Well, if we get to where our hip is like this, we're really, really bumped out, then we're not rotating. I can't rotate my hips, and when my hips stall, my arms are going to fly in front, and I'm going to flip. And then obviously the straight line release, if I'm going like that at impact instead of releasing that club out in front, then I'm going to have that early release too. So all of these pieces kind of work together. If you work through the system, it can help you to get that working a little bit better. So I'd recommend going through the Top Speed Golf system. Make sure your spine's good, shoulder turn, lag, and then work your way through to get that release worked out. And to get to the system, Dan, if you the easiest way to get there is just to click on the house icon at the top. If you click on that, that's going to take you to the home page. If you scroll down the home page, you'll see all the courses in the Top Speed Golf system. So Dennis G says, I wanted to get your opinion on which would be better to help improve the Impact Snap or Golf Swing Radar, only considering getting one for now. Also, do you happen to know if there are any radars that measure speed without hitting a ball? I hit wiffle balls all over the winter. Thanks. Okay, yeah. So if you want to know what I think will help you the most, and that's going to be a swing speed radar. So you're saying Golf Swing Radar. I would recommend the Swing Speed Radar. You can get them on Amazon. They're like $105, I think, right now. They fluctuate in price. Every now and then they're like 130, and then sometimes they're 90. So it's like right in between there right now. So yeah, I would recommend a Swing Speed Radar. You can do that without a golf ball. So there's a couple of reasons why I'd recommend a Swing Speed Radar. One, as far as training aid is concerned, it's the kind of training aid that's the most effective because it gives you information after you perform the action. So you have to do it on your own, and then you have to do whatever you're doing on your own. You're working on your speed. You have to perform the action on your own, and then it gives you feedback after you have performed the action. And then you learn from that feedback, and you have to do it on your own. Whereas with the Impact Snap, it's giving you feedback during the action, which is good. That's something that can help you, but you're not having to really apply yourself as much and do it on your own. Impact Snap's a great training aid for several reasons. I think it's great because, one, you can use it in your house. It doesn't take up, it doesn't have a very big footprint. You can use it in your house. You can swing it around and get some good repetition. It can also help you kind of feel if you're just having trouble understanding and feeling how the club works through impact, it can give you a very good understanding of that. But eventually, you want to ditch that Impact Snap, and you want to do it. You got to be able to do it with the club on its own. So, the Impact Snap, I think, is a great training aid. But if you're asking me which one would I choose if I didn't have either one of those, I would choose a Swing Speed Radar. The other reason I would choose a Swing Speed Radar is because Swing Speed Radar is obviously to help you gain distance and club head speed. And that's one of the number one things. It is the number one thing you can do to help improve your golf game. So if you're looking to improve, then that's what I would absolutely recommend doing. And you can do it. All it does is read your club head, that Swing Speed Radar. So if you looking at Swing Caddy, it does not read your club head. Now the new ones, which we don't have a link for, the new ones, the Swing Caddy 2 Plus, I think it's called. It does read your club heads. It has a mode on there where it will read your club head speed without hitting a ball. But honestly, I just like that Swing Speed Radar. That's my preferred one. It takes a little bit of getting used to how it's set up, but once you get that down, it's really, really easy to use every single time. So that's the device that I recommend using for increasing your club head speed. All right. So David W says, I feel like my weight shift is pretty good with my driver, 3-wood and hybrids, but not so good with my irons, especially long irons. Do you have any ideas to help? I guess my question would be, why do you feel like it's better? Just a follow-up question for you, David. Why do you feel like it's better with your, what feedback are you getting that's telling you that your weight shift is not good with your irons and long irons? So yeah, go ahead and post some feedback for me on there. I guess what is your feedback mechanism for telling you that, I guess. So yeah, if you got any more questions, go ahead and post them on here. I'm just waiting for a reply on David here, if he's got a reply for that. But yeah, just real quick, tomorrow we will have office hours tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern time. The we do not have office hours on Thursday or Friday. We'll be back Monday. And I did put a note at the top of the page there for everybody to see that there's going to be no office hours on Thursday or Friday for the holiday here. So basically, what would give you, David, just to kind of go into this a little bit more. So what some feedback would be to tell you that you're not getting a good weight shift. Some feedback would be that you're hitting a lot of chunk shots. That's basically the most feedback that that's the feedback that you're typically going to get. So that's why I kind of wanted to hear you say was with my irons, with my short irons or my long irons, I'm hitting a lot of chunks, but with my 3-wood and my hybrids, I'm not. So that would be an indication. Okay, so it sounds like you may be getting a little bit of a better weight shift with those clubs versus the irons. But if it's just a feeling, that may not be the reality of what's going on. But I will say, you can just work on your weight shift with your irons and your long irons, and work on it specifically with those clubs and get more comfortable with it with those clubs. So one of the best courses on the website for working on your weight shift, getting loaded up properly and getting the proper weight shift is to work on the stop chunking and topping course. And because that course is all about getting loaded up properly and getting a good weight shift. So he goes on to say, with driver, 3-wood, and hybrids, I get consistent solid strikes. With the irons, some chunking and poor strikes. When I oversize the weight shift, it seems better. So what I'd recommend doing is just working through that stop chunking and topping course with your irons and get more comfortable with doing it with your irons for sure. So to get to that course, very, very easy. Click on the house icon at the top. And then when you scroll down, that's going to take you to the homepage. When you scroll down the homepage, you'll see all the courses on the website. And then click that stop chunking and topping course and just work through it specifically with your irons. The irons or the clubs that are giving you trouble, and it should help out quite a bit. So David W says, "Sweet, thanks, Q. I'll let you know how I go." Sounds good. Yeah, so give that a try, and hopefully that works well for you. So yeah, keep the questions coming. All right. All right. Oh, looks like we got a question here. Let me just a second here, and we'll get on that. All right. So let me get back on my video here. So Richard H says, I have a tendency to get my hands and arms behind me. Any ideas as to how I can correct this? That is in the backswing. Yeah. So first, it's okay to have your hands kind of going back behind you a little bit, as long as everything's happening good in the downswing into impact. So basically, the only time I would tell somebody to really work on getting this club to go more in front of them is if I clearly see this club's going back behind them. Because the reason why you don't want to bring that club too much inside or behind you, the only reason why you wouldn't want to do that is because it may cause you to have momentum at the top of the swing that's going to make you come over the top. So if you clearly see that on video, you see on video that you bring the club inside and then you come over the top or come down steep, then it may be beneficial for you to feel like to get the club working more vertically so that the momentum's going in the other direction that helps you to shallow the club and to have it on plane. If that's the case, then like I said, then that might be a great way to go. But if you bring this club inside and then on the backswing, and then in the downswing, it works perfectly down on plane, then I wouldn't waste your time working on it because it's not something that's really going to help you. I'd work on the things in the golf swing that matter the most, like your stable fluid spine, your shoulder turn, your lag, compression line, the move, these sorts of things. These are the things that are going to help you the most. Swing speed training, like I've been talking about before. So if this is a case where you clearly see, one example I would say is go look at JB Holmes' swing. So JB Holmes, tour player, won many tour events, brings this club way inside. I mean, way inside. The club's like this. He brings it up to the top, and then the downswing, he shallows it perfectly, and everything looks great. So if that's the case with you, then like I said, don't waste your time doing this. So one thing you can do, it's an easy drill to do, is to take a club or alignment stick and just set that on the ground. So let me angle this down so you can see. So I'm going to set this on the ground. I'm going to kind of angle it. So this would be my target line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to angle it out that way. So hopefully you can see that a little bit. There you go. So I'm going to angle it out that way. Here's my stance is going like this. I'm going to angle it out that way. So when I bring this club back, what I want to do is I want to kind of mirror this club on top of that. And that's going to help me not to bring it like this. It's going to help me kind of bring it more out. The other thing is with my right wrist, I want to feel like that's staying nice and flat. So when you bring this club inside, the right wrist really bends back. The right wrist goes like this, or your trail wrist. So I feel like your wrists are both staying pretty straight. You're not bending it back. I feel like the club's kind of going out like this. So I go first parallel and I pause right here. This club is in line with that. My right wrist is pretty flat here. And then I would continue up to the top, and you can feel the momentum going in that direction that's going to help you shallow out. And then when you get up to the top, then your right wrist or your trail wrist is in that bent back position. And then from there, I go down into the full finish. So I do some reps where you go halfway back, first parallel like that, go up to the top, pause again, then swing all the way through. And then once you start to get comfortable with that, then I would do some slower fluid reps where you're not doing the pause. It's just a slow fluid practice swing. Then build that up to full speed, and you should help you get that takeaway in a better place. That's going to help you swing more from the inside. But like I said, I'd only work on that if you're clearly seeing that bringing the club inside is causing you to come over the top. And you can see that from a down the line video. If you bring that club inside and you see the momentum kind of going like that, coming down steep and over the top in the downswing. And then Richard H says, doing it the way I'm talking about slows my swing speed down about 3 to 5 miles per hour. doing it the way I am talking about. So bringing the club inside. The other thing that can happen when you bring this club inside like this is you may end up swinging kind of flat. So when you bring the club more up like this, a lot of times you'll swing more vertically and you'll have more space and time to accelerate the club. So if you see that you're bringing I see people bring the club inside and then they get up high like that. So JB Holmes is another one of those guys that does that. So if you're bringing this club inside and you end up kind of in this really flat position, that could also be hurting your club head speed. So working on feeling like this club is just going straight up in the air, and focusing on that for a little while can help you get your speed back and get that club working a little bit from the inside as well. All right. So Hannah P says, with my irons, I have the ball flight that starts straight, then fades slightly to the right, and distance covered is also less. Any help on this? So if you're slicing with your irons, basically what's going on, there could be one of two things going on. So one, in order for the ball to slice or the face just has to be open to the club path. So you may be swinging a little bit over the top, like in this fashion. Over the top a little bit. Your club path may be moving too much out to in. So what you may want to do is look at your swing on video and see if that's the case. See if that club is working more down in this fashion. That's kind of extreme, but what I'm talking about is seeing this club working kind of in an over the top fashion. To fix that, you want to get that club working more from the inside. Try to feel like you're hitting, a draw or a hook. And then once you get that feeling, then you can ease off of it to straighten it out. The other thing might be strike location. So if you strike that ball in the heel, what's going to happen is that the face will actually close a little bit at impact. It'll twist closed, and then that ball will kind of roll toward the center of the face, and it will put fade spin on it. So it may be that you're just hitting shots on the heel, and you need to adjust your feel to get the desired result that you want. So look at your swing on video. If you see that you're coming over the top, then what I'd recommend doing is working on the never slice again course to get that club working from the inside. To get to the course, click the house icon, scroll down on that home page there, click the never slice again course and start working through those drills. All those drills are going to be all about getting you to hit a draw. Once you're able to hit a draw, then you can ease off of it and hit the ball straight. Or you can hit a draw, or you can go back to what you were doing before and hit a fade. Part of, you typically will lose a little bit of distance if you do hit a fade, depending on the severity of it. But part of me thinks that it's probably a strike location issue. So there's an easy way that you can check that is, if I grab a ball here. So if you have, let me see if I have something. None of those are going to show up. Let me try this pin. So a way that you can kind of check your strike location, the easiest way is if you just have some chrome irons like this, is to take, your range ball or whatever it might be and just kind of put a heavy dot on it. Let me see if this shows up on there. So take like a dry erase washable marker. And what you can do is you can just put a little dot on it. See how I put a little dot with that pin? And then what you do is you set up that dot to where it's on the back of the ball. And when you go in and strike the ball, that dot will rub off on the face. So I'm not sure. And it's not showing up on there. So now when you hit the ball will kind of pancake on the face and you'll be able to see it very easily. But that will give you an idea of what your strike location is. So my guess is that your strike locations are probably on the heel. And like I said, when that happens, it's going to end up being a weaker shot because it's not on the center of the face. And the ball will tend to want to fade on you. It will tend to want to curve to the right. So what you'll want to do is adjust your feeling to get the desired result that you want. So what that would mean is right now, what's happening is that you're trying to strike the ball in the center of the face, but the reality is that you're hitting it on the heel. So you need to adjust your feel to hitting it on the toe to get that strike to be more in the center. So I just set up to the ball that set up to the ball the way you normally would. Try to strike it on the toe and see if that moves the strike closer to the center of the face. Now, if you still strike it on the heel, then you just got to exaggerate even more. You may even need to feel like you're coming in and missing the golf ball to the inside to get that on the to get that to be more on the center of the face. Now, if you actually strike it on the toe, then just ease off of that feeling a little bit. It just means that you overdid it, which is completely fine. So that's what I'd recommend doing. Take a look and see if it's a strike location issue. Take a look on video, see if it's a path issue, and you can tackle those problems accordingly with the advice that I gave you there. So we got about another 30 minutes on here. So go ahead and keep posting your questions, and we'll keep answering them. So Hanif P says this is only with long irons. With pitching wedge, I tend to hit left of flag, and long irons, I get less distance and miss to the right. So now that kind of leads me to believe that it's probably a path issue, because what happens is that when you swing out to in, meaning you're kind of coming over the top, and you look on video, you're swinging out to in, you're typically going to have two misses there. You're going to have the left miss, and you're going to have the right miss from the fade. So the left miss is usually going to be a straight pull, and then the right miss is usually going to be one that is a curve to the right. So the reason is that it's a product of the same issue, which is swinging too much out to in. The only difference is where the club face is pointing. So maybe with your shorter irons, you are able to get the club face closed, and you have your club face aligned with your club path, and it's just a straight pull. But then with your longer irons, you're not able to close the face enough, and it just ends up being a fade. So you probably need to work through that never slice again course. But again, you're going to want to look at your swing on video to make sure of that. Now, if you'd like an instructor to take a look at that and tell you exactly, the only way for me to know exactly is for me to look at your swing on video and to see you hit some shots. I do have an unlimited swing review program where I do provide feedback like that. If you'd like to be a part of my program, I'm not taking on any new students right at the moment, but I try to open up spots periodically, once a month, once every other month, so people can join in. So if you'd like to get an email, be notified first whenever I open up spots, go and join my waiting list. So that way you can be notified. You'll be in that group that's notified first. So the easiest thing to do is just go to the top of the page there. You'll see where it says Learn More. You can click on that Learn More, and then that will take you to the Unlimited Swing Review page. If you scroll down on the Swing Review page, you'll be able to see my profile there, and you'll be able to see where you can click to join my waiting list. You can always get to that. You don't have to get to it from this page. You can get to it from any page on the website just by clicking the Get a Review at the top there, and that'll take you to my swing review page as well. But most likely you probably need to work on getting that club path working more from the inside. So go ahead and keep your questions coming here. Real quick, just wanted to mention we will not have office hours on Thursday or Friday this week, and we will be coming back Monday. We do have office hours tomorrow morning, so go ahead and join me then if you're available. I imagine a lot of people will be traveling that day, so I don't know. I don't even know if there'll be anybody there. We'll see. But go ahead and keep posting your questions on here, and we'll get them answered. All right, so if you're just joining us, I'm just waiting for a question to be asked so I can answer it. you got a question, go ahead and post it on there. Go ahead and post your questions if you got them on there, and we'll get them answered. All right. So Gino S says, recently I looked at my swing on video and noticed a chicken wing in my swing. How would this affect my ball striking? It's been there for a long time. So basically, a chicken wing is a product of the upper body outracing the lower body. That's a product of a very upper body driven swing. So it can't hurt your speed because it means you're not creating momentum with your lower body. It can also, usually if you're chicken winging, now sometimes I see people chicken wing and they're getting forward shaft lean. So, they're right here, they're chicken winging, but they're getting forward shaft lean. Many times when I see people chicken wing, most of the time it looks more like this. It's flipping through impact, and it's kind of like in that fashion. So if that's the case, you're also losing compression because you're adding loft to the face. So those are the things that are affected, but it's pretty much it's almost always because the upper body, my lower body stops. I don't continue to rotate, and my upper body just keeps going in front, and then I go like that. So what we want to do is get a better weight shift, and then get the lower body working and continuing to work through, so that we can pull everything through and get that club to release out in front. So that'd be something like the step drill would be really good for that. So there's a video on the website. It's called How to Start the Downswing. This is a great video that has the step drill in it. So if you just search the word downswing, you'll get a list of videos. So in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little search window. You can search the word downswing, and then it's the fourth video down. It's How to Start the Downswing. Clay demonstrates that step drill in that video. It's a really good one to help you get that good momentum shift and then get the body pulling through, so that we don't have this action. It's more of pulling through and getting that club release out in front. So Dan B says, can you show us your chipping motion in a slower speed? So a lot of the newer chipping videos, we do have slow speed on there, or slow motion on there. But basically, I mean, it's nothing inciting, I'll tell you that. So basically what I like to do with my chipping motion is I like to set up with my feet a little bit open. So that helps me to get my body working through a little bit more. And I'm not a fan of staying locked in and just going like that. Now, if it's a really short shot, and you really don't need a lot of, because I've heard a lot of people say it's a putting stroke. In a little ways it is, because there's less wrist set going on. A lot of times if it's a shorter shot and you're trying to get that club sweeping through there. But if you have a longer shot, it's anything like that, and you try to keep everything kind of locked in, and you're just moving your arms, it's just going to be hard. It's just going to be more difficult. So I recommend getting the body to opened up a little bit, and so I would be going straight that way. My body's opened up a little bit, and what that allows me to do is that allows me to get my knees moving and get my body opening up as I'm going through there. So basically, a slow motion of my chip would look something like this. I'm going back right there. I get maybe just a little bit of hinge in the wrist here, and then I come through. Here I am right here, and then I come through like that. That's basically what that would look like. So again, just really, really slow would look something like that. Now, if I do that, I could just lengthen that for a longer chip. So if I have a longer chip, it would just look like this. And again, I'm just coming through like that. Everything kind of looks like it's coming through together. If you want to look at from this view, if I'm going straight at this light socket here, or this the plug-in, my body's a little bit open. I'm going back here, and then I'm coming through there. I'm not going to go all the way through, but just come in really, really slow. I'm going back, and then I'm coming in like that. And my body's opening up as I'm coming through. My knees are moving around. I'm getting everything moving through. And that makes it a lot easier to be consistent for sure when you're doing that. So Dan, if you had anything specific that you wanted me to show you, let me know. But that's kind of just a general chipping motion there. If you're wanting to learn more about chipping practice and things like that, we do have a chipping mastery course, which I recommend. If you go to the homepage, you can go to the homepage by clicking the house icon at the top of the page. Scroll down that homepage, you'll see the chipping mastery course to get started on proper chipping technique. So Hanif says, thanks, Q. We'll update after checking video of my swing. Awesome. Yep, you always want to look on video, see what's going on. I get asked a lot about useless training aids, but people don't realize they have one of the best training aids they can have already in their pocket, and that's your phone. That's your camera on your phone for sure. So you always want to be videoing your swing, seeing what's going on there, because you probably all heard the people say feel isn't always real, and that's often the case. Feel is often not real at all. So we want to see on video what's going on, so we can see the reality, and that way we can adjust our feeling to get the desired results. So that's what I recommend doing is you want to be constantly checking your swing on video for sure. If you're looking to improve, you got to be doing that. No, it's a pain in the neck, but it's it's one of the best things you can do for sure. So we got about 15 minutes left. Go ahead and keep posting your questions on here, and we'll get them answered. All right. So Richard H says, what is the reason for a chunk in a short chip shot? Well, there's a lot of things that can be happening with a chunk on a short chip shot. A lot of it can be ball position. So if you play that ball too far back in your stance, so if I angle this down again, if I play this ball way too far back in my stance. Let's say I have it, way, way back here. Well, I'm going to be having kind of a choppy motion down into the golf ball, which is going to make my margin for error very slim. I may top it, I may come in, set the club in behind it. I got to time that with the golf ball perfectly. So what I want to do, an easy way to kind of figure out where your ball position would just to be to set up. And then I would just do some sweeping back and forth and just kind of see where you're coming in and you're sweeping the turf. So you can see I'm pretty much sweeping that ball right in there every single time. So I want to be right there. And that gives me a good ball position where I can get that ball first contact every single time. So that could be a reason for it. It could be you're really active with the wrists and you really try to help the ball up in the air. So you're trying to do that through impact instead of staying solid and letting the club release out in front. If you do that, if I try to kind of help this ball up in the air, what can happen is I can release that club early and now I'm chopping down into the golf ball. It could be that you kind of have your weight on your back foot. And when you do that, you kind of hang back and the club bottoms out before the golf ball. You want to have your weight forward so that you're getting that sweep happening forward of the golf ball. So those are usually the three main things. Number one would be ball position. So use that little trick, do some phantom shots, some practice swings, kind of seeing where you're sweeping the turf, and then put your ball at the beginning, the front part of where that sweeping is coming through to ensure you're getting that ball first contact. And then the second piece would be, trying to help the ball up in the air with the hands. So look on video. Typically, you can clearly see on video if you're doing that, right? So look on video and see if that's what you're doing. You may want to get the feeling of getting that club to release out in front instead of helping it up in the air. So that'd be the first one, or the second one, sorry. And then the last one is going to be your weight distribution. This is a big one as well. I often see if you feel your weight kind of on your back foot, especially as you're coming into impact with the ball, a lot of times that's going to end up with a chunk. So get that weight forward and keep that weight forward throughout the entire chip, and that can help you get that ball first contact as well. So go ahead and keep the questions coming. We got about 10 minutes or so left in the office hour, so go ahead and keep the questions coming, and we'll keep answering them. In the meantime, I will be getting a little bit of work done until you guys have a question. All right. So Richard says, what is the best way to determine how far your hand I'm guessing it posted this question before you could finish it. So go ahead and put the rest of your question on there, Richard. I'll be happy to answer it. I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm not sure where you're going with this one. All right, so Richard, looks like we got one from Bill as well. So Richard says, what is the best way to determine how far your hand should be from your body with a driver fairway wood chip shot? How far from your body your hand should be? Well, I mean, you want your hands to be ideally about as far away from your body as you can be. So let me get back. So in a sense of with your lead arm here, ideally you want them to be as far away from your body as you can. And kind of throughout the swing, that's going to allow you to create the most width. But if you see you have a little bit of bend in your arm at the top, I'm not worried about that. That's not a big deal at all. But typically what you're going to see is you're keeping the arms out away from the body as you can. This is at setup. All right, yeah. So if you're looking at specific points in the swing, make sure to do that. So the easiest way to kind of know this can be personal preference as well, but in general, the easiest way to kind of know as far as setup is get in your position like this. Your golf stance, get a little bit of flex in the legs, bend over at the waist so that your arm's going to hang straight down in front of you. Your hands should be about 6 inches in front of your legs, and that's about the perfect position right there with about any club. Now you can be a little bit less if you want, if that's most comfortable for you, and you hit better shots from there. I mean, you see lots. Jim Furyk. I mean, he's like this at address. I mean, he's shot a 58, right? So obviously it's completely fine. But this is a good general area. Bending over at the waist, let your arms hang about 6 inches in front of your legs. Grab the club. That's about the best position. Now with a driver, because it's such a longer club, like this is a 3-iron, this is a long iron, and you can see how much longer this driver is in comparison to a long iron. So with the driver, you do the same thing, but you can be a little bit more upright because the club is so much longer. You can be a little bit more upright with it. So you'll be look something like this. But if you're like this and you hit the ball better from this position, or if you're like this and you hit the ball better from this position, then that's completely fine. The main thing is I would start here and then find from here what works best for you, because typically this position where your arms are hanging down about 6 inches in front of your thighs is a better position. Is a good position to start with. Everyone's got different makeups. Like myself, I have pretty long arms, so for me, a lot of times, having my hands more out in front of me is a little bit better because my arms are longer. For some people, they have, maybe shorter arms, but they're taller, so their hands might be a little bit higher and closer to their body. So it just depends on your makeup. But you just gotta find whatever the personal preference is for you. All right. So Bill A says, I make a slight cast to start the downswing. How can I make a better transition? So I'd recommend working through our top speed lag course. So you're talking about in the downswing that you are starting and doing this to start the downswing. So what we want to do is we want to get that angle sharpening in the downswing and then releasing out in front. And that's what we do in the top speed lag course. So what's really important to understand is where lag comes from. So lag comes from, number one, the wrist bending back. So that's that thumbs up position. So that's this, number one. So you can see if I just do that, I can only create about a 20-degree angle between my arm and the shaft here. So that's that straight up and down, and that's with a nice flat wrist here. Now, the second part of lag is the shallowing of the club. So you watch, I'm going like this. I'm shallowing out the club. That's making this angle sharper. So now you can see as I have a nice sharp angle of lag because I've shallowed out the club. And then the last piece is the momentum of the club. So I'm bringing this club back. It's got momentum going in that direction, and that creates a sharp angle. So you can see if I do that, if I get that sharp angle going, or if I get that momentum going, I get a much sharper angle. So that's where lag comes from. So if you understand that as you're going through the top speed lag course, it can help you realize. So if you look on video and you see that you're coming down steep like this, you know you need to get that club more in that kind of position to get that angle of lag going. So go to that top speed lag course and work through the drills to improve, to get rid of that casting. To get to the top speed lag course, click the house icon at the top. That's going to take you to the home page. On the home page, if you scroll down, you'll see all the courses on the website. Click on that top speed lag course and get started on the drills. All right. So Peter V says, does stat smash factor matter? Is it just how the center of the hit was on the club face, or is there more to it? So we can go over exactly what smash factor is. So smash factor is your ratio of your ball speed to your club head speed. So more or less, it's an example of how efficiently you hit the golf ball. So now, not all clubs are going to have the same smash factor. Typically, with a driver, the one that you really want to know is your smash factor. Like a really good smash factor is going to be 1.5. You're typically not going to be able to get any higher than that. Now you can, but you're typically going to have a hard time getting higher than 1.5. If you hit a drive with a 1.5 smash factor, that means you hit it dead solid on the nuts. So, for instance, that would be if I swung my club 100 miles per hour and my ball speed was 150 miles per hour, that would be a smash factor of 1.5. It's my ball speed divided by my club head speed. Now, the more loft you have, the more your smash factor is going to go down because you're not transferring as much energy to the golf ball. So for like a wedge, you can have a smash factor of 1 or 1.1 or 1.2. A pitching wedge, you can have a smash factor of 1.25, and that would be a good shot. So it goes down. But the one you really want to be concerned with is the driver. That's the one that most people, and if you just remember 1.5 with the driver, that's pretty darn good. One thing to consider, and this is something that I get all the time, people tell me they can't get a smash factor of more than whatever. And while they're at the driving range, and the reason is because the golf balls are poor. They're not very good. A lot of times you go to a driving range and you're hitting limited flight golf balls, or you're hitting golf balls that just aren't very good quality. You're not going to get a great smash factor typically out of range balls. I know at the driving range here at the club, typically the best if I hit one at 1.45, I really smoked it. That would be considered like a perfect one. So keep that in mind. When you're hitting range balls, you're probably not going to get a smash factor that's up there as much. But yeah, it absolutely matters because it means that you hit it with an efficient. You hit it efficiently. So if you're hitting your driver and even if you're hitting range balls and you're getting 1.3, unless they're very limited flight golf balls, that means you're not hitting it very solid. You can use some foot powder spray and spray it on the club face. Usually foot powder, I talked earlier about doing the dot on the ball. That works really great for irons and chrome face clubs. But for clubs, a lot of these drivers have darker faces and you can't really see the marks on them. So I really like to use foot powder spray with drivers or any club that has a really dark, like a black finish on it, because you can really, really see the foot powder spray very easily on there. You can get that at any pharmacy, Walgreens, CVS, whatever. Just get some odor eaters, foot powder spray, do a little bit of spray on the face, hit the ball, and you'll see exactly where you struck it on the face. And you can even test it. You can go on to a TrackMan or something like that. Or if you have a swing caddy that's telling you all this stuff, you can tell you hit that ball dead center. It's going to give you a smash factor that's going to represent that. So check that out. But yeah, absolutely matters for sure. So thanks everybody for joining me. We're after 10 right now, so no more questions for today. We'll be back here tomorrow 9 a.m. Eastern time, and won't be back after that until Monday for the holiday. So no office hours this week, Thursday or Friday. So we'll talk to you all tomorrow morning, and have a good rest of your day.